everyone? Welcome back to Beards, Bourbon, and Games. I'm your co-host, Conquer Corey, with me and Mike.
Yes, let's do this. Come on, let's go.
And boy, this one is a treasure of the past. The Nintendo GameCube came out in the early 2000s. Many of us know it because of its durability.
I think I remember there being a video at one point in time where they did test the current gen consoles and they throw them all
X-Play.
off the roof. X-Play did that. That's right.
Yes.
I don't remember who that was.
This one won, by the way, because you couldn't kill these things. Well, they're still around, and to many, no surprise, they're still kicking. But there's a problem a little bit. They probably have an Achilles heel to them, and that is the disk drive. The laser starts to burn out, or it starts to lose power, and you have to crank up the volts to it.
Yep.
But so we got one here, just a standard one we had laying around, and you know us, we decided how can we make it better.
Yes.
And
to continue our series.
So not only will we make it better, we'll also paint it and decorate it because we're gluttons for punishment and we like to spend long hours.
But there's a reason for it this time. Recently, a lot of people know there's a lot of random special edition GameCubes. One of the big ones that came out was a Japan exclusive called the Zeon Game Cube.
They made a Gundam GameCube.
They made a Gundam GameCube.
Why haven't I known about this?
Because you live under a rock.
Oh, that's fair.
But it only came out in Japan. It came with a special edition controller. You could buy a special edition Wavebird separately for it. It came with a special edition Gunpla model. They were limited. And by limited, I mean very limited. When I was recently in Japan, I wanted one of these. That was one of my goals, was to purchase one. The cheapest one I found was $500-600, which is not a small amount of money. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make our own.
All right.
And while we're at it, make it better.
Let's get started.
All right. I'm excited to get this going. We're going to go over everything we can. There's going to be kind of a two-part on this. We're going to take this thing apart, and at a certain point I'm going to tell you to skip ahead if you don't want to paint your console, if you just want to install the mod itself. But we're going to actually take the sucker apart. You're going to take the backs off. Then we're going to find the appropriate screws. This is a kit that I found on eBay for like 20 bucks. Or not eBay, I'm sorry, Amazon for like 20 bucks. It's been very handy. We've used it in basically all our projects recently. Nintendo is terrible about using all kinds of different screws, and finding the exact ones can be a pain. But you're going to pull out these four big screws, and you're going to set them to the side. I recommend getting a box or something to keep us all in, or if you're smart, unlike me, find you a little container that has everything separated so you know where it goes.
Having these little toolkits like this is always key when working with these consoles, especially Nintendo, because they're notorious to use the infamous GameBit driver. GameBit, not driver, bit, GameBit, or yeah, GameBit, whatever.
It's that weird star one or whatever it is. It's a pain in the butt, and some of them we've run across have been a little triangle thing. But once you pull those four screws off, you can just pull the top right off, and you're in the console. So it's very handy. It's very quick and easy to take apart.
Look how neat and organized and beautiful that is.
It is. This console is very well done. It's very well put together. The back plate just pops right off. And then you're going to do the same with the front. It just pops right off. And then there is a little ribbon cable here. Be careful when you're pulling that out. You don't want to rip it. We're going to set that to the side. We are also going to break this down because we're going to be painting this, because we want it to match the Japanese Zeon GameCube version, and the front on that panel is black. So there is 2 screws here you're going to take out. And again, different size screws. Who would have thought? So you're going to get in there. You're going to take those screws out. And once you do, it just pops right off. Just like that. Set it to the side. Don't throw it. Fight that urge. So now we're going to take off the fan assembly. In order to do that, there is 2 power connectors here. There's one that's actually for the power and one for the fan itself. I recommend getting a pair of tweezers on this. You're going to reach in there and grab those little pin connectors and pull them out. Makes it so easy for you. You're going to remove, pretty sure it was 2 screws you're going to remove, and then it just pops right off. This console is just so well built and just so easy to take apart. Now, this is going to take you a bit. There is a bunch of screws around this thing. They're going to take you forever to take them out. Once you do that, there is some more screws at the front that use a different size bit. Again, thanks Nintendo. You're going to pull those off. And once you do that, the whole top assembly should pop off. Now, if you're not going to paint your console, you can kind of stop here and fast forward, and you can get to the point where we actually start to install the mod. But we're going to continue to break it down because we are going to paint ours because we like punishment. There are 6 screws that's on this plate. Don't worry, those do come off. You're not taking apart the heat sink. Once you take those 6 screws out, this thing just lifts right up. Grab it by the heat sink and kind of wiggle back and forth. It helps you get off. And then you have 2 more screws here in the very bottom to take off this silver plate. Once you pull those off, it just, again, raises right up. Now there's some metal clips in here that are kind of, I can't remember, they were like a shock, whatever. So you're going to pull those off and set those to the side, and you're done. Your assembly for that piece is good. Taking apart the top of this thing to paint it is very, I don't want to say difficult, but you want to make sure you know what you're pulling off and where you're pulling it from. I highly recommend as you take this thing apart, if you remove like each button assembly, you take a picture of it, what went where, how things fit together. That way you know when you're putting it back together in the future, later down the road a little bit, that you know where everything goes. I ran into a problem when I was reassembling this thing, that I had there's a spring-loaded, well, the part that opens the hinge, the spring for that, I was having a hard time figuring out where it went, and it took me a little bit to find the holes that it actually associated with. I could have saved myself a lot of time and trouble if I'd just taken a picture. So
that top is very deceptive. It is deceptively complex. And a lot
yes.
of parts, you'll see in a minute all these different parts that Mike starts pulling out. And don't do it like Mike said. Organize yourself. We're gluttons for punishment. We like to throw things all over the table. Then we spend the next hour and a half trying to figure out where they go.
It's just our lot in life, is what we do. Of course, I want everything painted. I want everything looking nice. I had to pop everything out. Go me. Now I'm gonna try to remove the back, the handle. Actually, is what it is. Once you remove the handle, there's more parts to remove in the bottom. This is when I finally start to realize that, what have I done? I've gone too far. Another one of those hinges that I wish I'd taken pictures of. But once that's done, I need to remove the top of this thing because, as you see on the table there, Conquer Corey designed and we printed off a top for this thing. So we're just making sure we got to pull off the old one, and we got to make sure that one fits. We were actually kind of worried it wouldn't fit, but spoilers, it does. Now, like always, when you go to paint your stuff, you want to wipe down and get rid of all that dirt because you don't want that dirt to be underneath the paint. We use rubbing alcohol for the really bad things, or we use Windex a lot of times to clean stuff with because it's a very, it's not a harsh cleaner. So you go through, and for the really hard spots, of course, we use the Q-tips. Look how dirty that sucker is.
Yeah. Oh, it's like the Xbox all over again. I'm getting PTSD.
Oh, it's so bad. And as a reminder, we paid $25 for this console, so it was pretty dirty. And a little Q-tip going through all those holes, getting all that stuff out, because again, we want the paint to stick, we want it to look good, we don't want a bunch of dust trapped underneath. Now, this is a controller that we purchased. We didn't want to break down our original for this, so we actually bought one of these old school controllers because it was really cheap. We're breaking it apart here. There's a couple screws on the back. Having some trouble there. Then I'm pretty sure I realized I left a screw in, and I take it apart. You want to pop it off, and then that whole assembly just pulls right out. You can set that to the side. Make sure you take your buttons. Make sure you put them in a box so you have all your buttons together. You don't want to lose a button. I'm not saying I have, because I have, and it sucks trying to find it later on. Don't actually pull that off because I almost did. Now we're going to get it ready for painting. you can do one of two things here. You can actually pull those stickers off if you don't care about them. I cared about them. I wanted them to be added. Sorry, I wanted them to be on there. You can buy reprints of these, but I didn't want to spend the extra money because, you know, try to save money, so I can buy more stuff. So when you put these, you put the painter tapes on there, and you want to take your fingernail or something sharp and go around the corners, just to make sure it's in there really tight, because you don't want any paint leaking out there and getting on the seal. And then I'm going to take an X-Acto knife, cut around it, and peel off the extras you see here. I'm going to do that for both of these stickers. One on the front I attempted to do that with, but there isn't an indent on this sticker, so we ended up just pulling the sticker off and gluing it back on later.
Good old ATI. Leave a comment down below if you remember who they were.
Now, here's the part you should jump to if you're not going to paint your console. So with this mod, we're actually getting rid of the disk drive completely, which is one of the problems with this console. While we got it so cheap, the disk drive was shot. So we just take off a couple screws and it pops right off.
And you literally just chuck this part, if I'm not, I believe. Yeah.
Yep, there it is. Throw it to the side. Now we're gonna pull out the mod. It is tiny.
But it's so powerful, though.
It is. It's so powerful. It's such an easy mod to use. Yeah, I'm really happy with this so far. So there's a couple stickers you want to pull off because it's actually covering the screw holes. You're going to set that straight down on top of that because this part connects directly into the main motherboard. If you'll watch me here, it goes right there, so the connector pops through the bottom. You're going to take a couple screws and you're just going to screw it right into the existing holes from the disk drive you took off earlier, and that's it. Which is awesome.
Amazing mod. Oh, so amazing.
So much better than the hours and hours and hours it usually takes us to put mod parts in.
You pay for the convenience. I think this mod is about 90 some. It's about $100 roughly.
Yes, it was not a cheap mod. We saved some money by buying the cheaper console and buying the cheaper controller, so
Man,
it helps.
It pays for itself, though.
Yes. These are the parts that we're going to use to go basically where the disk drive was. These are 3D printed parts that you can get. We'll try to leave a link down the bottom. But these are specially crafted by Mr. Conqueror Corey. Again, we added a Zeon symbol onto him. He did a great job on it. This is a ribbon cable add-on that you don't have to have, but I highly recommend you get because it'll allow you to access the SD card and put it into your console a lot easier and a lot faster. If not, you have to actually reach down in there and try to get to that mod, and it's almost impossible.
And
Go ahead.
Sorry, just gonna say, be careful what ribbon cables you order because some of them do not support high capacity drives, so you have to be very selective. Don't just pick like the first thing you see on eBay.
Correct. Yeah, be very careful with those. So as you see, we put that together. We just screwed it together, and then we mounted it on top of there with the existing screw holes. And now I'm actually painting it. I'm painting the yellow, the Zeon yellow, onto the Zeon symbols.
Zig Zeon!
Zig Zeon! It takes, what I recommend when you're doing when you're painting, water down your paints, thin them down, do multiple coats, because you want to build up a good color. You don't want it to look gloppy or runny or too bad. It's kind of you want to do about a 1-to-1 ratio, so you want to do some paint and then a little bit of water. Now, this is after we have sprayed the console. We're not going to go into too much detail about how we sprayed the console. We've done that on a lot of other videos, and if you want to see that, our PS5 video is probably the most detailed one. But you want to do multiple. You want to find a really good paint, a really good spray paint the 2 times. You want to do multiple passes, that way you don't have any issues with it. Don't try to rush is the big thing. And then if you want to afterwards put a nice varnish coat on it. Now that can take up to 24 hours to dry. Just make sure you give it enough time. Now we're going to reassemble this. This is where I was talking about you. It was very helpful to know how you took it apart, the pictures you had. It'll make your life 1,000 times easier. We're going to jump around a little bit. This is me trying to figure out how this went in here, and then I finally got it. I ended up having to look up some other parts. I think I may have even looked at one of our other consoles we had, and I was like, why do I have to make this so hard on myself? Now we're adding the buttons back in. That door button comes back to bite me later.
You've been struggling with that the entire time we've worked on this.
Well, when they're machined and they're supposed to be flush without paint, and you add a couple layers of paint, things stick sometimes. We ended up having to rub the paint off the button on the inside, and then it was fine. This is just us reassembling it, just in reverse. This is the fan going in, adding the power button back in, adding the fan power in. Again, use tweezers to push it down in there. Add the screws back in. This is me adding the metal parts back onto the front. These are little booties you're adding back in. I actually really like that we kept these black because, I mean, it just sets it off real well. This is the nice black coat we put on here. Again, same thing. We just did we used plastic safe spray paint that's ×2 coats, and we did, I think, about 4 or 5 coats on it. Or sorry, not 4 or 5 coats. I apologize. About 3 coats on it. With this, I tried to take apart the controller, the end of the controller to plug it in at some point, and then I was like, this is dumb. So I ended up just wrapping it up with a lot of painter's tape and then sprayed it, and that worked out perfect. And again, we're just reassembling the controller. Everything goes back in the way you took it apart. Just kind of take notes of what you did as you took it apart. There's some trial and error. Don't worry if you mess up. Just try it again. They only usually go in one way, so. Nice thing about the buttons too, a lot of times is they're dummy proof because they have each button has a different layout of like knobs on them that only fit into the controller a certain way, so it just makes it easy for you. This is me making sure it's working. And it wouldn't be a Zeon controller without a Zeon symbol. So we're going to add this symbol onto it. We're going to grab us some nice Loctite. We're going to put some glue on there.
How'd you not get glue on your hands?
Years of practice.
I would have had my hands glued together doing that.
I don't know how I made it even partially centered on there. Now we're going to add the awesome piece to the top. Making sure it fits.
And for you Gundam fans, yes, that is a model number of the GameCube, fashioned after the model numbers Zeon used, except Dolphin 101, because it is a 101 GameCube. Boy, I bet that was stressful trying to line that up.
Oh, so much. Yeah. We're gonna add the little memory card flaps to it. We painted those as well, so they didn't stand out. Add the front panel back and put in the ribbon cable. Again, be careful with that. Slides right in there. Kind of goes in at an angle and then kind of clicks up. Same thing with that. There, we got to put into the I got to put the dust shield back in.
And we're just going to snap it on right here, and you're going to be very gentle with it. Don't force anything. You don't want to go beating or banging it. And what the crap was that?
Dull creature, and I will not be bullied by that.
Or you can just do what Mike did and go full blown Hulk on it when it doesn't snap together.
What'd you expect me to do? The button got stuck.
Show it some tough love. See, now it's behaving.
You're going to add the 4 screws back. Then we're going to take tweezers and pick the painter's tape off. Tell I'm nervous because I don't want to scratch the GameCube.
You know, that black label actually fits the aesthetic really, really well.
Yeah. Card ads right in there. So simple, so nice. Now I'm going to turn it over to Corey.
All right, so time for the software part. We're going to show you how to set up the software. So below we're going to have Hack Informer website. This is what I use to mod it. It's super simple instructions. Really, you just read down a couple steps and it's going to tell you. It's going to tell you exactly what you need. What we're going to do is we're going to load a program called Swiss on it that will allow us to select which ISOs we want to boot, so that way we don't have to worry about manually loading each ISO to the card. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to click the Swiss hyperlink. You're going to go here and you're going to download the version of Swiss there, the 7-zip version, whichever the latest version is. And then you're going to extract that. So if you don't have 7-zip, get 7-zip so you can extract it. You will need an SD card. So you can use multiple sizes. It does have to be FAT32, so if you have a really large one, you do have to use a special program to format it as such. So I'm just going through the steps here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my Swiss folder that I downloaded, and I'm going to go to the ISOs, and I'm going to pick the United States one because we're in America, baby. And we got to pick the right region. So we got our US ISO, so we're going to copy that, and then we're going to rename it to boot.iso. This is going to trick the GameCube into thinking that it is a game. So you can see where I ran a format there on a smaller card, but I'm just going to bring over here to the SD card that I have. Click paste, and you just simply rename it to boot.iso. Now that part's done. The next step is to get our ROMs. Again, you have to source your own ROMs. We cannot tell you how to do that. The internet is your friend. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take and get some of the ROMs that I have, and I'm going to paste them in the same directory. Don't even have to get fancy. Just put it in that same directory as the boot. It's amazing. So what will happen is whenever you turn it on, it'll boot to a menu, and you just simply pick the game that you want to launch, and it launches. It's beautiful.
It's that easy.
All right, so there we have it. This one was fun. I like this one. This one was nowhere near as painful as some of the other ones that we have done.
I got to do most of the work on this one, which is great because I usually have to sit back and watch Corey do stuff and be like, "You're doing a good job. You're doing good. Emotional support. Yay!"
You did good. You did good. You did a good job. But so yeah, so we did little things different. One, we obviously had the, you know, I really like how the decal came out. We opened up a 3D editing software and we basically added the Zeon logo. And originally the Char's GameCube was the 001 model. Mm-hmm. We only had the 101, which is the newer version. Doesn't have the HDMI cable, but I'll get to that in a minute. So I changed up that. And then, of course, on the inside, the custom thing that we did do with the, and I don't know if it's going to, oh, it doesn't care. So we did actually put a custom design there, as you've seen in the assembly video. Really happy with how easy this mod was.
Yes.
This hard mod was what, $105? That's what it is
Roughly,
here in the US. But it's well worth the money, especially if you got a spare GameCube or you got a GameCube that your optical drive is dying. It's a real great option to digitize your library because it does launch ISOs through the Swiss application.
And I don't think we mentioned this, but we actually picked this one up at a convention for $25 because the disk drive didn't work. So we got this back here and everything else works fine. It's just the disk drive doesn't work. So we were able to use this to save it, just kind of like we do with our PlayStation 2.
And but yeah, it was super easy to install. You literally just swap the optical drive for this thing. Now there are other mods that we want to do as well. Think of this as a phase 1.
Yep.
There is an HDMI mod, but that requires some soldering. But we're going to explore that with this unit.
One thing else, we ended up not using the original GameCube controller. We bought a old school controller to create this, just in case I destroyed it, because it's been done before. I don't know if you remember our PS5 video. One of the controllers we had was broken because when we took it apart, it had a ripped cable in it or something. So we ended up using an old school controller, but it's working great. It's doing a good job. We added the symbol up here to make it look like the original GameCube controller that came with the Char GameCube. So,
but yeah, let us know what you think. Do you like the design? Do you think that this is overall easy process to install GC Loader and get it up and running? Or if there's another mod that you think we should add, leave it down in the comment. We love reading your comments, and we'll reply to them as fast as we can. But yeah, this ain't the last you've seen of this one. We're gonna do more to it, but yeah, this is a good job. This is your magnum opus, my friend. It turned out real good.
I'm real happy with this one. I'm really proud of it, and I didn't have to spend close to $600 to get it.
Looks like something's missing though. You think of it?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, give me a minute.
There we go. Now we have a Gunpla 2.
But like I said, leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think. And if you like this video, be sure to smash that thumbs up. It really helps us out a whole lot. And if you like our content, feel free to subscribe. We do various things such as Let's Plays and console modding. It's something that we get into, we really enjoy. And we hope you enjoy it as well, and we hope it helps you. I'm your co-host, Conquer Corey.
And I'm Mike.
Until next time,
keep on gaming.